What if suffering is not punishment, but pressure designed to reveal what remains when everything else is removed? A man loses his wealth, then his family, then his health, then his certainty. The heavens remain silent. His friends accuse him, reality stops making sense, and somewhere beyond human sight, something is watching, not to destroy him, to test what survives collapse. Welcome to Code of Scripture. This afternoon, we decode the book of Job, not as a story about punishment, but as an ancient exploration of consciousness under pressure, because Job is not merely suffering, he is being stripped down to the core of what he truly is. The book of Job begins in heaven, not on earth. This is important. Before Job ever suffers, there is a conversation happening beyond his awareness. A cosmic observation. The adversary appears, not as a red demon with horns, but as an accuser, a tester, a force that pressures consciousness, and the question becomes terrifyingly simple. Does Job love truth, or only the comfort surrounding it? This changes the entire story, because Job is not randomly suffering. He is being observed under collapsed conditions. The machine strips away wealth, stability, social identity, physical health, emotional certainty, and the deeper question emerges: what remains when every external structure disappears? Job loses everything. His children die, his body deteriorates, his reputation collapses, his community turns against him, and symbolically this is the collapse of identity infrastructure. Modern people build identity through status, money, productivity, relationships, social validation, certainty about reality. Job loses all of it. And slowly the psychological fracture begins. He asks, why is this happening? But no answer comes. This is where Job becomes deeply modern, because many people today experience the same collapse: burnout, emotional exhaustion, financial ruin, isolation, loss of meaning. The systems they trusted suddenly fail them, and they discover something terrifying. Much of identity was built on temporary structures. Job's friends arrive. At first, they sit silently with him. This is the wisest thing they do. Then they begin explaining his suffering, and everything gets worse. They insist suffering must be deserved, pain must be punishment, systems must remain fair, reality must make sense. But Job knows something they do not. Sometimes suffering does not fit simple explanations. This is one of the Bible's deepest psychological revelations. Human beings are uncomfortable with uncertainty, so they invent explanations to preserve the illusion of control. But Job refuses false certainty, even in agony. He continues seeking truth, and symbolically, this matters enormously, because consciousness begins evolving the moment it stops accepting easy answers. Most of Job unfolds in silence. No miracle arrives immediately. No explanation descends from heaven. No comforting resolution appears. Only silence. And this silence changes Job internally. At first he demands fairness, then explanation, then understanding, but gradually, something deeper occurs. The collapse itself expands his awareness, because suffering has a strange effect on consciousness. It destroys illusions of control. The modern machine promises optimization, certainty, prediction, endless comfort, but Job reveals something ancient. Reality is larger than human systems can fully explain, and this realization is both terrifying and liberating. Finally, God answers Job, but not with explanation, with perspective. A storm appears, a whirlwind, and from it comes a series of impossible questions. Where were you when the foundations of earth were laid? Can you command the stars? Can you control chaos itself? This moment is misunderstood constantly. God is not humiliating Job. The whirlwind represents something deeper. Human consciousness is too limited to fully comprehend reality. The universe is vast beyond comprehension, wild, layered, mysterious. Job wanted a simple answer for suffering. Instead, he receives awareness of cosmic scale, and suddenly, certainty collapses completely, but strangely, so does fear. The book of Job is not ultimately about suffering. It is about what survives suffering when identity collapses, when systems fail, when certainty disappears, when reality stops behaving predictably. What remains? Consciousness itself, awareness stripped of illusion. Job survives not because he receives explanations, but because he endures the collapse without surrendering the search for truth. And perhaps this is the deepest revelation in the entire book. The trial was never designed to destroy him. It was designed to reveal him. Job Decoded is the story of consciousness entering the storm, not to find comfort, but to discover what remains after illusion burns away. The machine fears this kind of awareness deeply, because people who survive existential collapse become harder to control. They stop worshiping certainty. They stop trusting appearances. They stop building identity entirely from temporary systems. And once consciousness survives the whirlwind, it never sees reality the same way again. This was Code of Scripture, Job Decoded, and perhaps the greatest transformation begins when everything you depended on disappears.